Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Wade Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. This is part 2 of my look at my top 50 most valuable vintage baseball cards in my collection for 2023. If you missed part 1, where I went over cards number 50 to 26, there'll be a link to that video at the end of this video so you can check it out. But in this video, I'm going to take a look at the top 25 out of that 50. Cards numbers 25 all the way to number 1. So I'm going to turn the camera around and let's go check out my top 25. As a recap, I have ranked the top 50 cards based on their current VCP average price as of December 3rd. And just like I did for the first 25 cards, I'm going to show what the current value of the card is, what the value of the card was last year, and where that card ranked in the top 50. So let's get right to it. And card number 25 is my 1956 Topps Hank Aaron Grayback. Have this in a PSA 3. This was a national purchase. Really lucked out here when you get down to the lower grades, especially 1s, 2s, and 3s. You always run the risk of there being some creases within the middle of the card. I don't notice any creases in this, so it's mainly corner wear. Picked out a nicely centered copy. Just love this image of Hank Aaron. And again, this is the Grayback version. Last year, this card ranked number 17 on my list and was worth $284. It has dropped in price. It is currently $239 and again dropped from the 17 spot to number 25. But still love this 1956 Topps Hank Aaron. All right, at number 24. We have the 1958 Topps Hank Aaron. This is the white name version, PSA 4. Just love these 56 Topps cards with the solid colored background. One of the keys for me in picking out this Hank Aaron was I wanted the background to be free of any print defects, fish eyes, things like that. There's a small one right there. But man, this presents so well for a PSA 4. Just love the eye appeal of this. All the colors going on here just makes for a beautiful card. Here is the back. Last year, this was card number 26. So this one moved up 2 spots on my top 50. Last year, it was valued at $222, and this has gone up a bit to $243. But absolutely love my 58 Topps Hank Aaron white name. This is the white name version. This is the more common version. The yellow name is the rarer copy. I may someday look to get that just to complete more of the Hank Aaron run that I have. But here we are, card number 24, the 58 Topps Hank Aaron white name. At number 23, a new card to my top 50. Picked this up this year. The 55 Topps Harmon Killebrew rookie card in a 3.5. Just, again, love the colors of these 55 Topps cards. 55, 56, they have very similar designs, the horizontal layout, but just a beautiful card. And a Hall of Fame rookie card here of someone in the hobby. I think that's underrated. I may try to go for a playing days run of him, if not in 2024, maybe in 2025. We'll see. But last year, of course, this was not on the list, and currently has a value of $247. And there you have it, my 1955 Topps Harmon Killebrew rookie card at the number 23 spot. At number 22, We have a card I've had in my collection for some time, the 58 Topps Mickey Mantle All-Star card. In a BVG holder, BVG 5. Love the centering, the colors. Again, I think these 58 Topps All-Star cards suffer from some fish eyes. Whenever you're dealing with, the printing of a card with a large amount of space that's a single color, you get stuff that, falls into the printing plates and so on. There's a little bit mark there, but wow, what a great image of Mickey Mantle. Just love the colors. Last year, this card was number 31 on my list and has moved all the way up to the 22nd spot. Last year it was valued at $179. This year it's up to $255. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video when talking about some of my cards in BVG slabs, the sales volume of BVG graded cards is not even close to the sales volume of PSA or SGC. So this could have been, I forget it for this example here, but the bump up from $179 to $255 may have just been because of one or two sales this year of a BVG 5 and just happened to be higher than last year. There you are, the 58 Topps Mickey Mantle All-Star card number 22 on my list. All right, card number 21, my 65 Topps Hank Aaron, also in a BVG. Whenever you see these BVG holder cards, these are ones I've had in my collection for a while. I had a bunch of them at the time graded through Beckett. This one received a 7. Well-centered, great image of Hank Aaron. Really like the 65 design with the banner there for the team name. Last year, this card was number 8, so it was in my top 10 last year and was valued at $384. Again, because of probably the number of sales for BVG cards, currently, it's only worth $260. That's fine with me. And maybe someday the goal is going to be to switch all of these over to PSA holders. Again, it's not for value. I just want everything to be equal. But just love this 65 Topps Hank Aaron card number 21 on my list. All right, now we're into the top 20. At number 20, my 75 Topps George Brett rookie card in a PSA 7, another national purchase. Love the colors on this. The key for me was the centering. Fairly well centered. Again, it's a 7. It's not going to be perfect. But the other thing that drew my eye, one is this is free of any fish eyes, very common with 75s. And look at those bold colors. I mean, that sort of bluish purple and the green and the pink there for the Royals. Just, man, these 75s, when you can find them where they're fairly well centered and the colors just snap out at you, they're beautiful cards. Last year, this one was 21 on my list, so it moved up one spot. Last year, it was valued at $263, and now it is $268. So pretty much even from a year ago. Not only just the price, but the spot on my top 50. So there it is, the 75 Topps George Brett card number 20 on my list. At 19, the 71 Topps Corey Yastrzemski in a PSA 8. Sort of an impulse buy at one of the nationals. I was looking for this card, and the dealer had a PSA 7 and a PSA 8. The 7 was more in my price range, or that I was thinking of spending, but the centering just wasn't as good. And man, when I saw this copy here, I just fell in love with it. So hard for these 71s to find. Well-centered, no chipping of that red border. Corners nice and sharp. Again, I'm not man, I'm not about the grade, but this copy looks so much better than that PSA 7, and I gave in and spent more money than I had originally intended, and so glad I did. I just love the look of this 71 Yastrzemski. Last year, this was number 18, so it has actually dropped one spot. It was valued at $283. It's now worth $274. 71 Topps Car Yastrzemski, card number 19 on my list. At 18, the 55 Bowman Hank Aaron PSA 4. This was another case where, actually the opposite of the 71 Car Yastrzemski, I was at the National looking at a PSA 5 and this PSA 4, and I settled on this PSA 4 because this 4 was better centered than the 5. It was an issue of, the corners were a little bit better, and I didn't feel that in this case I wanted to spend more money for a card that to me had less eye appeal and a higher grade when I'm perfectly happy with this PSA 4. These 55 Bowmans, they've grown on me. Initially, when I was younger, looking at vintage cards, didn't care too much about the 55 Bowman, but really like the image of the players there in that TV screen. So really love this Hank Aaron. Last year, it was card number 10 on my list and has dropped 8 spots to number 18. Last year, it was valued at $352, and it's really dropped down to $274. Again, this is just for ranking purposes here. I don't really care what this card's worth, just the fact that I have this 55 Bowman Hank Aaron in my collection, and it's at the number 18 spot. All right, number 17. My 1967 Topps Mickey Mantle in a BVG 5. Really like the centering. Yeah, there's some corner issues, but nice sharp image there of Mickey Mantle. I really like the 67 set. I have a good number of the Hall of Famers. Still a long way to go before I would complete the Hall of Fame run. Not to mention needing the Tom Seaver and Rod Carew rookie cards, which are the two big ones. But beyond those two big ones, I have some of the other big names in the set. So one day I hope to complete the 67 Hall of Fame run, because I really like this simplistic design, very focused on the player image. Last year, this card was number 14 on my list and dropped 3 spots here to number 17. Last year it was valued at $310, and this year dropped a little bit. I think Mike, baseball collector, noted that Mickey Mantle cards have softened a little bit over this past year, and currently this one is worth $283. So my 67 Topps Mickey Mantle card number 17 on my list. At 16, a newcomer to the list, my 48 Bowman Warren Spahn rookie card, PSA 3. Saw this at this year's National. I wasn't the only one. I think I was maybe the 3rd or 4th person to pick up a 48 Bowman Warren Spahn at this year's National. Very popular card. And when I saw this, the dealer had a bunch of modern stuff and had a few vintage. And man, I think I got a really good deal on this. Very happy with the 3. When I saw the centering, I was like, man, I need to have this card in my collection. I've been slowly building a Warren Spahn run. Obviously needed his rookie card here. Really nice back as well. Doesn't appear to have any wax stains. Really happy that I was able to add this card to my collection this year. Wasn't on the list last year and currently is valued at $290. My 1948 Bowman Warren Spahn rookie card, card number 16. All right, at 15, my 1909 T206 Mordecai Brown. Now, these are the PSA 1s that I love to see. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah. Just look at the condition of that card. Now you say, why is that a PSA 1? Well, I got a good deal on it because it's a PSA 1, because there's some paper loss on the back. But for me, with these T206s, I don't own too many, but it doesn't bother me that there's some paper loss there. It's fine with me. And this front presents so well. The colors, registration, sometimes with these T206s, you can get a little bit of registration issues. But what a beautiful card of the Mordecai Three-Finger Brown. This is the Chicago shirt version. Last year, this was card number 12 on my list. Has dropped 3 spots to 15. Last year, it was worth $342, and it has dropped down to $294, even in a PSA 1. So there's the 1909 Mordecai Three-Finger Brown, card number 15 on my list. At number 14, a surprise jump for this card. My 1953 Topps Eddie Matthews in a BVG 6. This was card number 40 on my list. Now again, it's most likely due to the limited sales volume of BVG graded cards. But last year, this was valued at $118, and the current average VCP price for a BVG 6 is $300. Now, it may have been just one sale since last year, probably 2 at the most, and it went for $300. Fairly well centered. Just love that image there of Eddie Matthews, his second year card. Obviously, his 52 Topps is the most valuable Topps rookie card, because the Mickey Mantle is not his true rookie card. So it's nice to have a second year Eddie Matthews. There is the back. Nice as well. Really love these 53s and the artist rendition of the player's photograph. All right, getting close here. This was the 53 Topps Eddie Matthews, card number 14. At 13, this was an impulse buy when I bought it at one of the Nationals. Oh, the 1950 Bowman Bob Feller. I drool over my 50 Bowman Yogi Berra card, which was in the previous video. But when I came across this, I was not in the hunt for a 50 Bowman Bob Feller. Was not on my radar. And when I saw this in the display case, regardless of it being a PSA 5, I saw the centering, I saw the colors, and fell in love with it. Managed to get a decent deal. I never try to pay sticker, but this is one of those cards, I'm sure all of you have cards in your collection that just when you see it, it speaks to you and says, you need to be in my collection. This is one right here, this 50 Bowman Bob Feller. I just, with the crowd in the background, there's so many things that make this card so beautiful. Love this card. Last year, this was actually number 19 on my top 50 and has moved up to number 13. Last year, it was valued at $273 and is now worth $320. Definitely more than what I paid for it, but again, regardless of price, just so happy to have this card in my collection. The 1950 Bowman Bob Feller, card number 13. All right, number 12. This was not a national purchase. I bought this at a show out in Pittsburgh, where I hung out with a few fellow YouTubers, Don's Field of Dreams cards, Bob Lewis, Scott Reindeer Studio, Dean's I Collect It All, Dean Gerhardt, I Collect It All. Just had a great time and saw this, got a really good deal on it. The seller gave me a deal because of the mark there in the background. Now this wasn't listed as a mark. It's a PSA 5, but love the centering. With these 49 Bowmans, you can get some registration issues with the image and then the color superimposed over it, but this one matches up very well. Last year, this was card number 16, so this one's moved up 4 spots to number 12. Last year, it was valued at $285 and is now worth $324. The 1949 Bowman Warren Spahn, card number 12 on my top 50 list. At number 11, the 53 Bowman Pee Wee Reese. Again, I did not mind for budgetary purposes that this is a PSA 2. This is the third 53 Bowman on my top 50 list. All of them have some centering issues to them, and I don't mind. The 53 Bowmans, my eye is just captured to the center of the card. In this case, this quote-unquote action image of Pee Wee Reese. And again, I don't like to use the word too much, but an iconic card in the hobby. Glad to own this and have it in my collection. Beautiful card there of the 53 Bowman Pee Wee Reese. Last year, this was card number 13, so it's moved up 2 spots. Last year, it was valued at $340, and currently, the VCP average price is $410. Really happy to have this 53 Bowman Pee Wee Reese in my collection, card number 11. All right, we are now at the top 10 of my collection. At number 10, the 57 Topps Frank Robinson rookie card. Bought this a long time ago. I bet you I've had this in my collection. It's probably maybe 20 years. Bought it ungraded. At the time, I was not concerned about centering and things like that. It is off center left and right, but still, it's a beautiful looking Frank Robinson rookie card. Last year, this was card number 7 on my top 10 list. It has dropped to number 10. Value has gone up by $2. It was $424 last year and currently valued at $426. So the drop from number 7 to number 10, I think, has to do maybe with a couple new additions to my collection. And so here we are, card number 10, the 1957 Topps Frank Robinson rookie card. At number 9, I mentioned some 67s that I have in my collection. This is the 67 Willie Mays BVG 7.5. Not much wrong with this card, just love it. I mentioned when I was talking about with the mantle, the 67 set. Just love the design, the image. Again, I don't have too many Willie Mays cards in my collection. This is one of the few here. Last year, it was number 9. This year, number 9. And last year was valued at $382, and it has jumped in value to $434. Again, we're talking about BVG sales here. As I mentioned in the previous video, I didn't try to calculate maybe what a equal PSA value would be, because I don't know what this would convert over to a PSA. Probably not a 7.5, but who knows. But I stuck with BVG values, and currently it's $434. So still good for number 9 spot on my list, the 67 Topps Willie Mays. At number 8, one of my big purchases at this year's National, the 54 Bowman Mickey Mantle. I had looked at other examples of, I think, maybe a 1.5 and a 2. Those still had issues of the 2 or 3 that I was looking at. I knew the only way I was going to buy it was in a low grade, but really looking at it from this angle here, yeah, there's some creases, but a PSA 1, I'll take it to get this 54 Bowman Mickey Mantle in my collection. Just love the image. So happy I pulled the trigger. Obviously was not on the top 50 list last year. Current value $499. You can see all the creases there on the back, but still, hey, I own a 54 Bowman Mickey Mantle. I don't care that it's a PSA 1, because overall, really nice eye appeal in my opinion for a 1. And I think I bought it for $500, so it's held its value at least since the National. Card number 8 on my top 50 list, the 54 Bowman Mickey Mantle. At number 7, my 52 Bowman Stan Musial BVG 6. Just, man, I love these early Bowman cards. This just such a beautiful card. Well centered, which also meets my criteria. I've had this one for quite a bit. Last year was card number 6 on my list, dropped 1 spot. Last year it was valued at $598, and it's up to $670. The gorgeous looking 52 Bowman Stan Musial, card number 7 on my list. At number 6, my 54 Topps Ted Williams, card number 250. This was a card that I owned years ago, ended up selling, regretted it, and I think I picked this one up at my first National in 2015. I figured if I'm going to go to a National, I need to replace and get back my 1954 Topps Ted Williams. Found this copy, bought it on the last day of the National. Tried to do that, Sunday early afternoon cash offer type thing, and the seller gave me a really good deal on this. Man, just love the colors. That yellow background, the blue in the cap, just a beautiful card. Last year was number 5 on my list and has dropped down to number 6. It is off center on the back. You can barely see the border there, but still love the multiple cartoons on the back of this card number 250. My 1954 Topps Ted Williams, card number 6 on my list. All right, we're at the top 5 now, and it keeps getting better. At number 5, the big purchase at this year's National. I had sort of wanted to see if I could get this at the National. I didn't expect to get it in a 2.5. I've always wanted this Ted Williams card. Just, oh my God, it's just so beautiful. I just, some of these cards in my collection, again, this could be a $50 card. I don't care what it's worth. It's such a beautiful card of Ted Williams. Last year, of course, was not on the list, and this automatically, this is the first comma card that I have. So current value is $1,223. It's actually dropped in value from what I purchased it for at the National. I don't care. I don't care. I have a 54 Bowman Ted Williams in my collection, something I've wanted since a kid. Again, always been a fan of the Red Sox, and man, when I showed this card to my mom, she even got chills looking at this, because she very well could have had this card in her collection. Yes, she dabbled with cards with the neighborhood kids and would throw them against the garage and stuff. Unfortunately, they've been long since thrown away. But my mom very well could have had a 54 Bowman Ted Williams. And so such a special card in my collection at the number 5 spot, the 54 Bowman Ted Williams. At number 4, another card that I've wanted for a while in my collection, the 1909 T206 Christy Mathewson Dark Cap. Christy Mathewson has a local tie here in central Pennsylvania. He went to Bucknell University. I got my master's degree at Bucknell University, grew up right across the river, live about 20 minutes away from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, where Bucknell University is. I believe he's buried in Lewisburg Cemetery right near Bucknell University, I think. Just love this card. I bought this one and that 54 Topps Ted Williams at the same national. Obviously, two big purchases there. Man, just love the colors on this. Fairly well centered. Again, there's creases. It's a SGC 3, but sweet cap roll back. Last year, this was card number 3 on my list and has dropped down to number 4. Last year, it was valued at $1,487 and has dropped in value, actually, to $1,354. But there's my 1909 T206 Christy Mathewson Dark Cap at number 4. Number 3 is my 1963 Topps Mickey Mantle. I bought this ungraded, just like all the other BVG graded cards from my local card shop. Bought a ton of them within maybe a couple month time period. Went on a little buying spree, and bought it ungraded. Paid for what I thought would be a fairly high grade, and was so surprised that it came back a 7.5. Fairly well centered. Doesn't really have many fish eyes that you find common in that circular area there. Here's the back. Fairly well centered as well. Last year, this was number 4 on my list and moved up this year to number 3. Last year, it was valued at $1,272. This year, according to VCP, for a BVG 7.5, it's now worth $1,525. My 1963 Topps Mickey Mantle, card number 3. All right, 2 more to go, and they're also going to be featuring Mickey Mantle. Card number 2, my 53 Topps Mickey Mantle. Yes, there are some issues with the card. In my previous video, I showed off a Yogi Berra. Very similar here. This red portion is somewhat faded. There's some centering issues, and I think there's some indents somewhere around here. Probably a fair 2.5 value. I don't care. I love this image of Mickey Mantle. Paid a good amount of money for it, and has since gone up in value. So I'm really glad I made that. I don't want to use the word investment. This wasn't meant to be an investment, but really glad I made the purchase, because today this would be a lot harder to add to my collection. Last year it was number 2. This year it was number 2. Last year it was valued at $2,406. And as a couple of the other Mickey Mantles in my collection, they've gone down a little bit. This one now is valued at $2,190. My 53 Topps Mickey Mantle. All right, the number 1 most valuable card in my collection for 2023, which was number 1 last year. My 52 Bowman Mickey Mantle, BVG 4.5, but wow, the centering on that, I know it's not perfect, but it's darn close. Just, I love the image. Love early Bowmans. Love this image of Mickey Mantle, that facsimile autograph. I sort of like this better than the 53 Topps. Again, a second-year card, a second-year Bowman. So I have the second-year Topps, which is really his third-year card. But just, there is some, wax stain on the back. I don't mind it at all. Just love this. Last year, as I mentioned, it was card number 1 as well, valued at $3,912. And this card's taken a hit, at least according to BVG sales. Currently, this is now worth $3,526. But again, $4,000, $3,000, $100. I love this card. So there we go. The 1952 Bowman Mickey Mantle, the most valuable card in my collection. To summarize everything for my entire top 50 vintage baseball cards, the total value last year was $20,186. This year, my top 50 is worth $21,632. Yeah, it's an increase of 7%, but obviously there's a lot of movement from last year to this year. 10 cards dropped out of my top 50, 10 new cards came in. I don't know if that type of volume is going to happen every year. Some cards did go up in value from last year. Other cards went down in value. So I gave the total here. Again, not to do any flaunting or flexing. It's just mainly for my purposes to know and to track the growth of my vintage collection from one year to the next. I suspect and hope that over my additional years of collecting that my top 50 most valuable cards will grow, but we'll wait and see what this list looks like next year. I hope you enjoyed my look at my top 50 most valuable vintage baseball cards in my collection for 2023. Again, if you missed my previous video where I showed off cards numbered 50 to 26, you can check that out right here. With that, that's all I have for you. So until next time, thanks for watching.